I've never really considered myself a writer.
I never wanted a regular screenplay because we have seen this kind of stories. What holds you is the character power.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Chan. Get it?
When we think of Quentin Tarantino and Sandeep Reddy Vanga, two things come to mind: chaos and brilliance. Both directors are fearless in their storytelling, unapologetically bold in their characters, and above all, masters of crafting unforgettable moments on screen.
Hey, hero, shut up.
मेरे और मेरे बहन के बीच में मत आना, समझा?
I don't mean disrespect, okay? I respect you. I just don't like people barking orders at me, that's all.
But what happens when we dive deep into their methods and find out what they truly have in common?
I write for myself, for my film. I can't write for somebody, so I'm not a professional writer for somebody else.
I've never really considered myself a writer. I've always considered myself a filmmaker who writes stuff for himself to do.
One of the most striking similarities between Tarantino and Vanga is that they both wear two hats, that of a writer and a director. It's not an easy feat, but it's precisely what gives their films a distinct voice. When a filmmaker writes his own script, the connection to the story becomes personal, intimate, and deeply rooted in their psyche. Both of these directors understand their characters better than anyone because they created them. Both Tarantino and Vanga believe in discovering things about their characters while they are writing them, in a way like raising them just so they are fully formed when they are ready to direct. Vanga's characters are complex and raw, just like Tarantino's. Intense emotions drive them, and their stories unfold in unexpected ways.
A story is something that constantly unfolds. I'm not talking about like this quick left turn or a quick right turn or a big surprise. I'm talking about it unfolds.
In several interviews, Sandeep Reddy Vanga has explained how Arjun's character evolved during the writing process, how the goal was never to make Arjun an angry young man, but to focus more on where that anger comes from, why it defines him, and how it shapes every choice he makes.
Violence was like another character in the room. It hung over the proceedings. You kept waiting for every conversation to break out into it.
I didn't know he was great in action, or else I would have done that also more. More, this is not in the length, the brutality.
Brutality.
When you think of Quentin Tarantino and Sandeep Reddy Vanga, violence is often one of the first things that comes to mind. But here's the key difference. Neither director uses violence as a mere shock value. For both, violence is an essential narrative device, a means of expressing deep, often buried emotions, driving character arcs and heightening tension. In Tarantino's world, violence is almost operatic. It's theatrical, exaggerated, and hyper-stylized. In Kill Bill, the fight sequences are a visual spectacle, filled with fast cuts, bloodshed, and almost balletic choreography. The violence becomes part of the entertainment, taking the audience through an adrenaline-filled ride while reflecting the intensity of the character's personal quest for revenge.
You and I have unfinished business.
Baby, you ain't kidding.
Vanga, on the other hand, uses violence in the more internalized way, but with similar intent. His violence isn't flashy or stylized, it's raw, emotional, and often uncomfortable to watch. In Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh, violence isn't just a spectacle, it's an outward manifestation of the protagonist's inner chaos. In Animal, Vijay's helplessness shows that he is not able to live everyday life, having lost the sense of taste, smell, and hearing, and people around him judge him for behaving in a certain way. However, in Animal, the entire Arjun Reddy action sequence was inspired by the scene from Kill Bill where the bride is fighting against the Crazy 88. And Vanga even admitted to that in an interview with Bharadwaj Rangan.
The inspiration is from Kill Bill. In Kill Bill, if you remember, one fight sequence is never ending. I was very hooked to it. I saw it multiple times and it is holding my attention.
So while Tarantino and Vanga may use violence in different stylistic ways, the essence is the same. Violence is the language they use to communicate the intensity of their stories. It's not just physical, it's psychological, emotional, and deeply intertwined with the core of their narratives.
I never wanted a regular screenplay because we have seen this kind of stories.
Yeah.
Only a screenplay and the characterization will make it interesting.
Well, it's not the fact that I'm on this big crusade against linear storytelling. All right, but it's not the only game in town.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino is a master of playing with time, and Pulp Fiction is his most iconic use of non-linear storytelling. The film begins with the ending, a diner robbery that is revisited later from another perspective. Characters like Vincent Vega die in one scene, only to reappear in a scene later. The film's non-linear structure forces audiences to think, to pay attention, and to connect the dots. Vanga, though he might not play with time in the same way, often uses a different technique: emotional flashbacks.
Didi, क्या हुआ दीदी?
These flashbacks gives us insight into why his characters are the way they are. In Animal, the film starts with a 60-year-old Vijay telling stories of his father. The scene cuts to Vijay when he was in the 5th grade at school, followed by young Vijay on a motorbike having come back from America. Later we have the plane takeoff scene which leads to Vijay killing Varun, the explanation of which comes later in the movie. Every time the scene shifts, the puzzle gets a little bigger. Eventually, it all comes down to control and engagement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Both directors control the flow of information, releasing it in bursts that keep the audience guessing. While Tarantino thrives in ambiguity and playful jumps, Vanga focuses on emotional revelation. But at the core, they both aim to keep their audiences engaged in the unraveling.
When they look at the script, well, we don't like this, and can you change the third act, and can you put in a lady in it, all that stuff. I was like, well, I can't.
Few producers liked the story. They said you need to tone it down here and there. But I said it can't be like that, because if it is like that, then it will be new. It will be the same again.
One of the most admirable traits that both Quentin Tarantino and Sandeep Reddy Vanga share is their unwavering conviction. They are directors who refuse to compromise, not for studios, not for producers, and certainly not for distributors. Their grit to stand by their vision, no matter the cost, is what sets them apart in this fiercely competitive world of filmmaking. Tarantino, known for turning down several big offers that wanted him to tone down or tweak his scripts, has always stood his ground. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, these films exist in their unfiltered, unaltered form because he refused to sell his vision to meet market expectations.
This is the movie I want to make, and I can make it over here this way, so thank you very much, but no thank you.
Vanga faced similar hurdles with Arjun Reddy and its Hindi adaptation Kabir Singh. Yet, Vanga, like Tarantino, refused to water down his story.
I get calls from the distributors saying that the Bangalore guy doesn't want to buy your film. I said, sir, if he's not willing to buy, then you give it to me. I'm going to distribute it.
This grit, this refusal to conform to industry norms, is what makes both directors visionary. They don't create films for mass appeal, they create them because they believe in their stories. And in doing so, they have not only gained a cult following, but also redefined what it means to be a filmmaker in today's world.
आपको पता है मैं आपको इतना प्यार क्यों करता हूं? इसका कोई जवाब ही नहीं है.
I listen to a lot of music. I can't imagine myself without music. Even I can't write a scene without music and sound at least.
Now it's very normal is to have modern pop songs in your films, and not only are they in them, you kind of cut the scenes to them.
Sound design is often the invisible force that drives the emotional impact of a scene, and for Quentin Tarantino and Sandeep Reddy Vanga, it's an essential component of their storytelling. Whether it's the clash of swords or the echo of silence, sound shapes the mood, heightens tension, and immerses audience in the world of the characters. Tarantino is famously known for his masterful use of soundtracks, often choosing pop culture music from past decades to contrast with the on-screen action. One of the most iconic examples is Jack Rabbit's slim dance scene in Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta and Uma Thurman dance to Chuck Berry's You Never Can Tell Me. The music doesn't just complement the scene, it elevates it, creating a moment that feels both timeless and modern. Vanga's sound design is all about immersion. During moments of heartbreak or frustration, the music swells gently, almost as though it is mirroring the protagonist's inner struggles. But unlike Tarantino, who often uses external music to add contrast or irony, Vanga's soundtracks are introspective, aligning closely with the emotional core of the scene. Similar to Tarantino, Vanga also uses pop culture music to hook the audience, whether it be referencing Om Shanti Om from the movie Karz in Kabir Singh or Roja's Choti Si Asha in Animal. These catchy tunes underscore pivotal moments in his films. For both directors, sound is a storytelling tool. Whether it's Tarantino's chaotic, almost operatic use of music or Vanga's quieter, more emotional soundscape, for both, the sound is never incidental. It's central to the experience they create on screen. Coming to final thoughts. Quentin Tarantino and Sandeep Reddy Vanga are two directors who, despite their different cultural contexts, share a unique bond. They are bold, brave, and masters of their craft. Both directors push the boundaries of what cinema can be. And in the world of cinema, where daring visions are celebrated, these two will always stand out as game changers. This is what happens when Quentin Tarantino meets Sandeep Reddy Vanga. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the art of filmmaking. Let me know what you think about the video in the comments below. Thanks for watching.